Namaskar. Today is May 6th, 2026. Each year on March 14 begins my 100 days journey in returning to the essence of yoga in celebration of International Day of Yoga on June 21st. This year, I chose to revisit Maharishi Patanjali's Yoga Sūtra and share my daily practices inspired by it. This is not any ritual or performance or aesthetics. It is simply with awareness. This is Satvik Yogi Path, a simple global way of living with clarity. Welcome to day 54 of Satvik Yogi Path. Yesterday, on day 53, we learned about the purpose of practice. Why do we practice? The purpose of practice. Today, Maharishi Patanjali names the klesh, the patterns. There are 5 klesh, and Maharishi Patanjali in Yoga Sūtra 2.3 or the third Yoga Sūtra from chapter 2 Sadhana Pad names these klesh, the root causes of the sufferings. So in Yoga Sūtra 2.3, first of all, what is it? Let us recite Yoga Sūtra 2.3. Avidya, asmita, rag dvesh, abhinivesha, klesha. So these are the 5 klesh, the root causes of sufferings. Avidya. Avidya is misunderstanding or ignorance. Asmita, ego, identity. Rag is attachment. Dvesh, aversion. And abhinivesh, fear of death or clinging to life. So these are the 5 klesh or the root causes of the sufferings, and these shape how the mind reacts and interpret life. And we are going to learn about these 5 klesh in Yoga Sūtra 2.3. So once again, let's recite Yoga Sūtra 2.3. Avidya asmita rag dvesh abhinivesh klesha, and which means that ignorance, ego, attachment, aversion, and fear are 5 klesh. And these 5 patterns just shape how we see, think, react, and interpret the world. And understanding them, these klesh, is the beginning of freedom. So let's go over word by word meaning. Avidya is misunderstanding or ignorance. Asmita is ego or identity. Rag, which is attachment. Dvesh, aversion. And abhinivesh, the fear, clinging to life. And these are the klesh, the 5 klesh. Klesh, which is the causes, the root cause of the suffering. These 5 are the roots of the disturbances. Now, Maharshi Patanjali is naming the forces that disturb the mind. And these patterns are not moral flaws, they are human tendencies. And yoga does not judge them. Yoga, because these are human tendencies, yoga understands them. And when we see them clearly, they begin to soften. Now, here is a very beautiful analogy I can share with you, and it is of the 5 shadows. Imagine walking in sunlight. Your body casts a shadow. The shadow is not you, but it follows you. Maharishi Patanjali says that the kleshas, the root causes of the sufferings, are just like the shadows. They follow the mind until the mind becomes clear. They follow the mind. Clarity dissolves confusion. When understanding grows, the klesh loses its strength. And here's a gentle truth. Suffering begins in misunderstanding. Suffering never happens in clarity. Suffering begins in misunderstandings. And clarity begins in seeing the misunderstanding. Remember the analogy of the dust on the mirror? That when you see or look at the mirror with the dust on it, all you would see is the dust and the image, the dusty image. But you would just remove the dust. Now all you have is the clean mirror and your clean reflection, clarity. So clarity in seeing, begins in seeing the misunderstanding. So what are we practicing today? Notice one klesh today. We will notice one klesh. So what are the kleshas? The klesh, the 5 klesh, or the root causes of the suffering. The first one is misunderstanding or ignorance, avidya. The second one is asmita, which is ego, our ego, identity. The third one is rag, attachment. The fourth one is dvesh, which is aversion. And the fifth one is abhinivesh, fear of death, clinging to life. So we are going to practice in noticing one klesh gently. Then observe it without judgment. Without judgment. And then we let the breath soften it. Because only clarity will begin only when we notice, we see the misunderstanding, the dust, the cloud. So clarity, when we notice it, then clarity begins. Now, you would just observe without judgment and then let the breath soften it. And then gentle repetition of Om and ending with Bhavna, the contemplation, contemplating on clarity. So let us begin our stillness practice, starting with settling our breath. So sit, if you're seated like me on a chair, or even if you are seated on a mat on the ground, back and spine straight. And to give it additional good alignment, just roll your shoulder. And so your chest opens up with a smile on your face and your chin slightly tucked in. And now place one hand lightly onto your navel and just breathe in. So we do settling our breath. We take 4 steps, right? In settling our breaths. So the first one is we breathe, but we just observe. We observe our breath. So breathe in and out. Let's do it. Breathe in, breathe out. And in step 1, you are only noticing your breath without any judgment. Just notice. First, take a notice of your breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Then the second step is you breathe with awareness. Now, the awareness is that your back and spine is straight, your chin slightly tucked in, you are all set, and you breathe in, and you would notice now with awareness your belly button or the navel rises, and as you breathe out, it distends, goes back in. So that is the awareness we are going to use when we are breathing now in the second step. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. One last time. Breathe in, breathe out. And just release. Now, the third step into settling our breath is now that we have been breathing with awareness, now we will try and equalize our breath. Or we can directly go to lengthening our exhalation from inhalation. But to do this, you need to take counts of your inhalation and increase your exhalation. So, gradually you are slowing down your exhalation. Slowing down exhalation and being present, being aware in the moment. So that is the practice we are doing. So let us try and lengthen our exhalation. Let's do it. Breathe in, 2, 3. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in, 2, 3. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And just stay like that and open your eyes. So now that your breath is settled, now our next stillness practice is we notice one klesh. And this one klesh could be avidya, which is misunderstanding, or asmit, or identity, or the ego, attachment, rag, or aversion, dvesh, or simply fear or clinging to life. So, any of these five klesh, we would just gently notice. So, once now again we are seated, and just place one hand on your navel, and you're breathing, your breath is all settled. Now you would notice one pattern. What we are doing is we are just noticing the root cause of klesh, root cause of suffering, the klesh, something that is, if we are bothered about something. So, what is the root cause? It's just that noticing that root cause. It could be a misunderstanding, it could be attachment, or it could be the ego. So, once you have noticed, now you would breathe, remember, with awareness. And as you breathe in, breathe out, and your pattern, it could be misunderstanding or for whatever is the root cause for something that bothers or has been bothering, the root cause, misunderstanding, ego, or aversion or fear. You have to identify it, you have to notice it, and with breath, you soften it. So, in all the previous days that we practice, anytime we feel distracted or anytime that our mind starts to chase that thought or the pattern or follow the pattern or just become the thought, and that point of time we would just bring our focus back to our navel, to be able to soften the clash, soften the disturbance, and to be able to see with clarity. And now we we the next stillness practice is we would breathe in, take a deep breath in, and we will produce the sound, the universal sound, Om, and it is totally optional, Om. But the Om is which is made of the sound that rises in the belly. Om, which moves through the chest, and the vibration that softens on our lips. So we'll do this 3 times. It's up to you. You can do two, but do at least once. And Om is a very good way of lengthening your exhalation as much as possible. So in the first stillness practice, when we lengthen our exhalation, we learn and practice to lengthen our exhalation, and the the Om demonstrates how we can finally actually implement the lengthening of the exhalation. So let's do it again. Back and spine straight, roll your shoulder if you have to, and be with your smile. You have a beautiful smile, so use it. Be in your smile and take few short breaths. And now take a deep breath in with the exhalation. Let's do it. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath in. And the last, take a deep breath in. And open your eyes. And the last but not the least is when we contemplate bhavna. So clarity begins when I see the pattern. Clarity begins. Clarity begins with noticing the dust on the mirror. Clarity begins when you notice the shadow that is not you. It's your shadow, but that the shadow is not you. So clarity begins when you notice the klesh, avidya, ignorance, asmita, ego, rag, attachment. That's a disturbance. Attachment, rag, dvesh, aversion, and abhinivesh, the fear. It could be the fear of death. It could be the it could be clinging to life. But that does not mean these are just disturbances of the mind. So noticing these fear of not being able to do, but that's just a disturbance of the mind. Fear that will not be able to do something well as it is expected. So identifying, noticing the disturbance itself is the beginning of clarity. So today's challenge, day 54 challenge, is that you would notice one klesh. It could be a misunderstanding, it could be anything of the five, the root cause of suffering, and soften it with a single breath. And we just practice that. So you would notice one klesh and you would soften it with breath. And what it means is you would notice and then just settle it with your breath, which means bringing your focus onto your breath, to your navel, and letting go. Let the thought pass away. Day 54 teaches us that suffering has roots. Every suffering has a root. To identify, to notice the root is the beginning of freedom. Suffering has roots, but what happens when we see the roots? They begin to loosen. Thank you for practicing with me today on day 54. Thank you. We meet again tomorrow, day 55. And until then, stay warm, stay open, and most importantly, stay honest to your own story, your own life.